He said nothing is fresh is the best is. Whoever than himself, he the best is. Impressive. How he rhyming and he be like Andre back in 96. The beat, he in the streets, earbuds. Fuck the beats, he be cursing like a sailor. I swear I will be writing grander. For those they give you remember the Titans have blood like Perseus. Uncle Tom was like a white man. Stay about his money, let me in the ear like you Tyson. And I hear he laid back, got his feet up when he rap, making the traffic stand still. They freeze when he say action. A small fraction might walk away simply cause of distraction. I'm always getting back, I think it's cause I'm so attractive. The attractions in my trapping, roll over to the masters on my Oscar De La Renta dog. Get with the classics, it's on your downfall, make a beat to go imagine. I take a seat and relax, scratch the beat and keep rapping.
Different world, ooh, and where you come, different world, ooh, and where you come, different world, ooh, and where you come from. The city is loud, yeah.
A chef on the glass, work on the plate, show my ass. Got the skills to pay the bills, but expensive taste make waste haste to your face. And baby, take this crème fresh to your face. Whoa, not like that, gotta make sure it's seasoned right. You ever served 160 within a 300? See humanity testing your sanity. After you were dropping a hole, no light, no more fight. But to get that time, you must do the crime. After 12, we feel one. Say stories to tell about going through hell. How you almost fell, how you messed up that VIP's Quinnell. This life in the kids, so you got a quick glimpse of what it means to hustle, bustle through our eye muscle. It's crazy, it's crazy. This profession's not for the lazy, cause it's a
different world, ooh, and where you come, different world, ooh, and where you come, different world, ooh, and where you come from. The city is loud, yeah. Here's our chance to make it. Hey, and if we fall less on our goal, you can decide, we can take care. Hey, just remember that you've been told.
It's a different world, man, I'm on some different shit. 250 nowadays for a pair of kicks. I remember when James was like $130, but the rock what I got in my stock, you're unworthy. Foam posits on my feet, never laced up. Foam posits on my feet with the fresh cut. Cargos with the dope t-shirt to match. Wait a minute, hold on, let me check the back of the trunk. Pull them sixes out, feeling like Brian and Dwayne, feeling fresh in this game like a champ. Got them Jeremy Scotts on the feet with the wings. I'm fly above means, above all, just to get fresh like God getting these kicks. You gotta stand in line overnight, wait for these shits camp out. Had these for 3 weeks before they even came out. It's a
different world, ooh, and where you come, different world, ooh, and where you come, different world, ooh, and where you come from. The city is loud, yeah. Here's our chance to make it. Hey, and if we fall less on our goal, you can decide, we can take care. Hey, just remember
Why you crying? Wait, it's not working. Why is this not working? Why is this? Hey y'all, what's happening? Sorry, just setting up the show so I could stream it on YouTube and try to figure out why they're not letting people come up. Hopefully this won't be a problem, but let me just start and we'll just take it as it is. So as y'all saw in the title, it says Black Fathers and Men Unite, War Stories and Advice. Because we all know that our voice, especially around election time, gets marginalized. They don't care about us. They don't care that we have decisions and we make decisions that people are going to find not conducive because we think family first. We think legacies first. And they're thinking degeneracy first. And, you know, a lot of us don't go for that. So I wanted to create this space so not only can the fathers come in, you know, trade war stories. We have a little bit of comedy every now and again, but we can also have kind of barbershop talk, like come up with maybe some strategies going forward, you know, with this whole LGBT thing happening. And now that these Democrats are starting to target the children in schools, I want to make sure that we are all on the same link. So if you'd like to come up and, you know, tell your story, you know, just let me know, request, I'll bring you up and we can start the proceedings. Cool, okay. Beatzilla, go ahead. Now that you at least can speak, but go ahead.
What's going on, brother? Thank you, man. Peace out to Kid Gravity to holding this space. Hard Black Truth, I see you, and shout out to everybody else in the room. Of course, just chiming in on my part, as a father and a husband. You know, our children are grown now, but just grown. You know, having two sons. You know, raising them to understand the importance of family, and even instilling in them from jump, you know, the importance of pride, and not like fake pride, but really, you know, having pride, and just, you know, also setting a standard for oneself. You know, just things as a father or a man can teach another man, having a certain standard for yourself and whatnot. And of course, we have a lot of instances where that doesn't exist. So for me, just doing my part as a husband and a father, just kind of rebuilding as best I can, which I'm glad you hosting this space because this conversation is a very rare thing. So I rarely ever get to speak on stuff like this. So, I mean, if anybody had any questions or anything, because I really don't have no like war stories or nothing like that. But, if anybody got any questions, man, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you something scary that happened to me with this child of mine. I don't know who else has experienced this, but fellas, have you ever had that? Do y'all remember that first day you were left with the baby? I mean, I'm talking like the baby was just born. And, even though I helped raise my three sisters, just realizing that that's your kid and you can't call mom and dad and you got to look at this, and to me, I wanted to fight this one because this one, I fed her, I burped her, I laid her down. I got to finally sit down and relax. I think it was like 15 minutes, and motherfucker woke up and started yelling her head off. I looked at her, I was like, listen. I just looked at her and said, listen, all through life, this ain't gonna work. You're not gonna manipulate me. And lo and behold, within 5 minutes of me saying that, I'm holding her in my arms and she stopped. I was like, oh God, I'm manipulated. So yeah. So fellas, for those who don't have kids or are on the way to being a father, just realize that your kids will manipulate you within a few weeks of being out of the womb. But Hard Black Truth, go ahead.
Hey, Black First family. Yeah, I really do appreciate the space. I wish we had more folks to jump in, but you know, as a black father and husband, a matter of fact, I'm actually taking my son, or he driving me to his work. We trying to juggle this one cause, so family is important, especially when you got to do what you got to do to make shit happen. You know what I'm saying? Like war stories. I'm not sure what your definition is. If you're talking about like actual military or just like living life in
No,
general.
living as a father, that's kind of what I mean with war stories.
Okay, well,
Like experiences we've had with our kids.
I got you. I got you. Well, I can't say that I have any real. No, as a matter of fact, I could. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna get into all that because y'all might not like me no more. But you know, when you married and you trying to raise children and you have to deal with a bunch of outside influences. You got to deal with the fact that as much as you and your partner may know each other, that you still got differences on how people were raised, what things that one holds valued more than others, and you definitely got to deal with the fact that the children, as they grow up, they become their own person, and you gotta learn to deal with that and accept them as well. So right now, I'm kind of still dealing with all phases, quote unquote. I got children who are grown adults. I got children who are toddlers, and it's I'm just blessed to be able to experience that and watch them grow up. Knock on wood. Make sure I could watch everybody grow up. I ain't got no wood in this car, but y'all know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I appreciate the space.
Yes, sir, because like I said before, we get marginalized and a lot of times people don't really respect our voices nowadays. And actually I was supposed to do this on Father's Day, but everybody was getting celebrating, everybody was on the golf course. I know people were watching their sports and getting their presents and hopefully getting loved on by their woman. So it didn't happen. So I said, you know what? Let's do it on a day where, hopefully I could get a lot of brothers in here and we can, talk It'd have to be some stupid subject that's usually in these Twitter spaces. Let's do something productive for a change. But let me get HB3. Go ahead.
How you doing, everyone? Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm a father of two girls. I'm in my mid 40s. I'm an old guy, but my daughters have graduated from North Carolina Central University and UNCC. Very proud of them. One just graduated. One's a senior. She's about to graduate. So let me just say that. Let me back up. She hasn't graduated yet. But she's only got 1 year to go from North Carolina Central. You want to know? So Eagles, go Eagles! Historically black college. Um, it's been really a journey with those girls as a black father, and I take pride in always. Let me just back up. Me and their mother divorced a long time ago. So I was basically a single, being a single father, basically getting them on the weekends, every weekend, and just being able to spend time with them is the most precious moments you're gonna have. Fortunately, I wasn't a person who was able to, raise my kids in a two-parent household. I was fortunately to be able to experience that, but not my daughters. So I made sure of being in their lives every moment that they come first, not me in the streets. As far as taking care of business, that is what I was going to do every weekend, and also provide for them during the times I didn't see them. Just following up, checking on them, and making sure they're good and they have stability in their lives from their father not actually being in the home 24/7. So I just wanted to give a shout out to all you brothers who are trying to do the right thing, making sure that the black family is first, and making sure your daughters have a perspective coming from a male that is of leadership, that is of quality, that is of a good spirit to lead them in lives to hopefully eventually continue to procreate and continue to build up our legacy as a people. I'm a foundational black American. So we have a lot we got to do because the challenges have been way worse than when my kids were coming up through the early 2000s. Way worse now for the people that are bringing their kids in now because of what they're trying to do as far as programming. So I just wanted to get that shout out. I love y'all. Let's stay strong. Let's hope. I've been hearing about some things about a movement going back to Washington. I'm down. If you brothers want to politic outside of this forum, let's do it because as black fathers, we are they're against us. You already know this. So we have a lot to do. We have a lot of work to do to try to continue to build up our families in this country. That I rest my plane. I land my plane rather. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hey, little girl. Give me the line one time. There we go. Oh. Get off of Disney, Jesus. All right. Yeah. Gotta start them young. Right there. Hey. Yeah, gotta start them young. Because once you start them young, you'll have a soldier for life. But let's continue. Black and Power. Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, family. D1. Very, very good room. Very good room here. I like the topic and what I wanted to do. I just wanted to go ahead and contribute because, contributing may help somebody else down the line. You just never know. So um, I just wanted to share my experience. I have two sons and a daughter. They're all older now. They're doing their own thing. But the experience I wanted to share was with them going to school. So all the way through elementary, even through high school, I just noticed with my boys that in the very beginning, that the teachers always were trying to medicate my boys, trying to say, that they have, that they were real active and they need to put them, maybe I should think about putting them on Ritalin. The other thing that teachers would try to do is if there was an issue that had to do with discipline or they had to ask a question, they would always try to bypass me and call my wife. And the other thing that I had to pay attention to is the fact that I felt like they were trying to just pick on my black children. So, when you go to those little parents teacher conferences and stuff like that, and they just want to start, little nitpicking and all of that kind of stuff, I would watch how they would do with the white parents. They wouldn't do that with them. And I saw one of the little boys was acting up and he was going crazy and doing a whole bunch of stuff. And they were busy telling me what my son was doing. And don't get me wrong, if my sons were acting up, I addressed it and stuff like that. But don't try to blow things all out of proportion to make it seem like what they were doing was so, outrageous. And here I see another little white kid that, is basically flipping over chairs and talking back to the teacher. And then you want to talk about, my son didn't want to do something. Again, I always, I was brought up in an old school household where, you just had to listen. That's how I was brought up. I was brought up with whoopings, discipline, and all of that kind of stuff. So I kind of raised my kids in kind. So I knew they didn't have a discipline problem. Also knew that they had to listen to adults. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because, you have to watch when your kids are in the education system because I feel like they try to single our kids out. So I just wanted to share that and I'll land my plane there.
Yes, sir. I went through the same thing as a child too. When they put me on Ritalin, and that thing used to give me headaches. They're like, oh, your son, he's hyperactive. He does well in class, but he's basically the class clown. And I'm like, okay, so I like to have fun in class. What's the problem? I'm still getting A's and B's, so what's the problem? So they put me on that thing, and I was like, listen, that thing giving me headaches. I took myself off of it because I told my parents, hey, this thing's giving me headaches. I can't focus. And my grades started slipping. They were like, oh, you're just not applying yourself. The second I took myself off it and stopped taking it, because you know how us kids were, we would take it out of the bottle, but then we throw it away the second we can get it, so they think we took it. And then all my grades started going back up again. They were like, oh, maybe it's working. I was like, no, I took myself off of it. And, just left it at that. But Beatzilla, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to chime in, and it's funny that Black Empower just went to the school piece because I was about to hit on that myself. I don't know how many people will be listening to this that have children, but if you have school age children, make sure that your presence is known at the schools that they attend, because one thing that every school my children were at, they knew both me and my wife. So a lot of the little suspect stuff that they would do, and that we know that they are prone to do because we all grew up seeing the same type of deal. So with that being said, we kind of know what to expect and we know how to address that. So make sure that you kind of make your presence known at your children's school. So when these faculty and teachers understand, hey, it ain't going to be the same pushover Negro coming through about his child, then they get some act right. And you don't really have too many issues there. Now what I will say is just like that brother said, man, you can easily see how they treat these children different. Prime example. Let me give you all this example before I land my plane. My youngest son, my wife was out. As a matter of fact, I met them on my lunch break. They were out for a field trip, right? So they're downtown Portland. One school is going to the courthouse to learn about how the law works. At the same time, this Asian lady that works at the grocery store by my house, her daughter is coming out of Wells Fargo. Their class was going into the bank to learn about finances, while our children was going to the damn courthouse to learn about how to get out of trouble. So these type of things also, just be mindful, because they absolutely have a structure in place to attack our children. So, always, man, make sure your energy is felt in that place about your kids. With that, I'll let my plane.
That's wild. So they took our kids to the courthouse and had some other kids learn about finance and then wonder why we can't really save. That's yeah, that's got to be on us though. As fathers, we're gonna have to start teaching our kids this stuff from when they're outside. Maybe we're gonna have to create nursery rhymes about finance. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure out some solutions here because it's obvious that this whoever controls this, the white supremacists, they don't want us to compete with them. But
And that's starting hella early too, man. I mean, that's starting like preschool age. So the way they even try to steer children's thinking, and especially for those of y'all that still have like you kid, y'all still have school age children. As my son was kind of wrapping up his school career, they started ushering in some of them other agendas. Man, I'm really glad I do not have school age children right now, but shoot, I'll have grandchildren. So with that being said, you all got to be real mindful on the early schooling of propaganda. And, you know, because I just remember stuff that my grandmother would tell me as a kid. I didn't understand fully what was being said to me then, but partner, let me tell you, if them seeds wasn't planted, I would not have the wherewithal of understanding I got now of the world. So just always plant them seeds in your children's head and keep them gamed up about this evil world that's targeting them. You did? With that, I'll end my plane.
yeah, especially with us fathers and those who had fathers. I mean, they always tell you there's gonna be days like this that you think it's a cakewalk now. Wait till you get out there. And we most times we just say, yeah, whatever, you talking shit. And then guess what? We were having these same discussions right now. So, even if your father says some crap, take that in because you never know. That could be a lesson that comes back later. So yeah, anybody else wants to come up, just say your piece, let me know. And just make sure you share this space out so we get more people in here. Go ahead, Sincere.
Hey, what's going on, family? I just got in the room. I just came in on the tail end of what you guys were saying, as far as about early intervention with educating the children. And yeah, that's definitely something I could speak on. I have a young son. I got 5 children, by the way. I got 4 boys, 1 girl. Most of them are in their teens, and I got one in his 20s now. But I do have a young 6-year-old, soon to be 7-year-old. And you learn things through trial and error. All my kids are brilliant. They were all pretty advanced at young age. But this one here, way different. Way different. You know what I'm saying? Now that I'm older, and like I said, I had the trial and error period that I went through with my other kids. So a couple of things that I want to say. As far as the early intervention, there are plenty of tools and resources at our disposal. We just have to be mindful and we have to be creative. My son started reading when he was 2 years old. I don't even know what age he started doing math and all of that stuff. But like I said, right now he's almost 7 and he's able to do like almost high school math. He's super advanced. If anybody follows me on Instagram and stuff like that, I post videos of him all the time. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. But like I said, the tools and the resources are there. We just have to be creative. These devices that we have in our hands are extremely powerful. You know what I'm saying? We have to utilize them and not just be taking up time on these spaces and on social media, just scrolling aimlessly. You know what I mean? You have to be intentional about what you're pulling up and why you're pulling it up. So we used a lot of YouTube videos early on. There's a lot of childhood education channels on YouTube, like from the day he was born, you know. And the other thing is we can't sleep on our children or underestimate what they're able to absorb. You know what I'm saying? Like teach them whatever anything that you could think of subject wise that you want them to know, expose them to it and just observe your child and see what they take to. You know what I mean? And so with him, it was anything that had colors and music to it, he would be stuck, gravitate to it. You know what I mean? So like my son, he don't really know a lot of superheroes and Disney characters and stuff like that. He knows some of them here and there because you know he live in the world. You know, he go to school, he go to regular school and all that. But we do a lot of education at home, so he's not like you know all about some of the popular characters that a lot of other kids are into. He has his own um, characters from some of these YouTube stations that we subscribe to at an early age, and that's his thing. That's his pastime. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of black creators out there as well too. You know, we got him some flashcards. You guys were talking about finance. He has these finance flashcards. He probably could tell us more about banking and taxes and all of this stuff than a lot of us know. You know what I'm saying? So it's about early exposure and just focusing on certain things, certain areas. We even have conversations about the system of white supremacy, what it is and how it works. You know what I mean? How do you call it? I incorporate everything into our daily conversations. Any opportunity that you can to teach and to let them know what this world is about and how things work, we have to take advantage of those opportunities. A lot of times we got our kids around and we're not really paying them no mind like that. It's just be quiet, don't get on my nerves, and go over there, play with your tablet, you know, get your toys. Like, nah, my son be right here with me. You know what I mean? And anything that I could tell that he a little bit curious about, we gonna go in. And I speak to him in his language, in a language that he can understand and he can comprehend. And you know, we teach the critical thinking skills. So he understands, not just giving him information and telling him what he should know, but teaching him how to think. Teaching him how to think, teaching him how to ask the right questions. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, those things are important. And I just see the major difference with him and some of my older kids. And the most thing that I would attribute that to is the fact that his mother and I are married and we live under the same roof. And so that's the other thing that I wanted to put out there for fathers too. Part of the game that we got to get into is choosing the right woman to have our seeds with in the first place. You know what I'm saying? We have to go about creating strong families. We can't just be laying seeds all over the place and having baby mamas all over the place and broken families and all of that. It's not going to work like the way it's supposed to work like that. It's just not, especially if you get with, you know, I know I'm pretty sure a lot of men on this call know what I'm talking about with when you talk about baby mama drama. You know what I'm saying? You plant that seed in the wrong soil and it's over. Not just for you. You're going to go through drama and headaches for years to come, but the children ultimately are going to be damaged. And we can't get that back. We can't get that back. Like I did the best I can with my older children. And like I said, I am very proud of them. They are coming along, but I just know for a fact that they would have been way better off if me and their mother was together and I had everybody under the same roof. And with that, I'm gonna land because I got somebody at my door.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, we got a black, like I said, us as black fathers, we have 3 times the workload because not only do we have to teach them about their history and their lineage, we have to teach them that this world is not going to be for you. And also we have to teach them that even though people look like you, they're not going to be for you. And you can only really rely on a few people in this world. And hopefully it's us. Because we want to make sure we give you the lessons that you're going to need to survive out here. Because you can have all the book smarts you want, but if you're not street smart, this world will eat you alive. Because sometimes you can't think your way based on something you've learned. Let me get Bro Salim. Go ahead.
Black first piece to the FBA family. Yeah, so I would say my war story is more so just kind of co-parenting. So I live in Georgia. My boys live in Arizona with my ex-wife, and so I co-parent, and so I have them every summer, and I find it hard to kind of keep a standard on like Black empowerment with them because my ex-wife seems to be against Black empowerment or doesn't seem like it like thinks that I'm a radical and things of that nature. So I want to know if any of the brothers on this space are co-parenting right now and have dealt with similar issues like that. And what do you guys do when it comes to the children when you're on Black empowerment and the ex-wife or the baby mama, whoever it may be, doesn't feel the same way, and you feel they're not grooming their kids for white supremacy or the society they're going to be going into or entering into as Black men. I'll land. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Black Empower, go ahead, and then Sincere.
All right. I'll try to be quick here. So the one thing I just wanted to piggyback off of what Sincere was talking about earlier. He was talking about basically spending time, with his kids, and when you spend time with them, that's when you instill what you need to instill with them. So when my kids were in school, I just made a point of dinner time was at the table. It wasn't in your room. It was at the table. So now since we at the table, we're talking, we're chopping it up. And that's when all the little things about their day, would start coming up. What they did at school, what a kid may have said, what the teacher might have said. So, and then that's when you start, trying to educate them about different things. It's just something about everybody sitting at the table, everybody starts opening up, and certain things start coming to light. That's where you're actually feeding them information. They're just not eating physical food, but you could also feed them, that brain food, so you could get them gamed up so they could, go out there and try to survive, the next day. So that's what my mother did with us when we was coming up. So that's what I did. And I felt that was very successful in the upbringing. In the beginning, I was with my kid's mother, but I did become a single dad at one point. So I had to do what I had to do on my time, and she did what she did on her time. So I'm just speaking to the one brother. He had asked a question about, what do you do if one person is the opposite? So I faced that just a little bit, where she was more like, even when I talked about the thing about going to open parent school night, at certain points, she was down with the Ritalin thing and all of that. And I had to be that voice to say, no, that's not what's going down here. You have to be that strong, authoritative voice, that, these are your kids as well. And you have to also make your wishes known. And in order to do that, you have to be there. You make a point of being there, whatever you got to do to have your time with your kids, because when they're over there, there's nothing you could do about that, right? So the only thing you could do is when they're with you. So you take that time not to just be time you're getting them because you're getting them. You turn that into quality time, right? And then that's when you get to do what you feel you need to do as a Black father. But I'm not going to even try to make light of it, brother. It's a challenge, but it's something that, we're built for, and it's something we got to do. And I'll land my plane there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for that. Sincere, go ahead.
Yes, indeed. I co-sign everything Black Empower just said. Also to respond to Brother Salim, yeah, absolutely. That's what I was alluding to, man. The whole co-parenting thing. When I was saying, the most important decision that we're gonna make as men is who we choose to procreate with. You know what I mean? I talk to the young dudes that's around me all the time. I work in a barbershop out here in Georgia, and every chance I get to bend one of these young dudes' ear, that's the main thing that I'm letting them know. That's one of the most important decisions you're gonna make in your entire life. You know what I'm saying? Who you choose to lay down and procreate with. You got to be scientific about this shit. You know what I mean? But so for those of us that's already in this situation, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to be very disciplined. You know what I mean? Especially like I said, if you got one of those cantankerous baby moms, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to be extremely disciplined with how you go about things. You're gonna have to really lead not only with your voice but by example. You know what I'm saying? If your baby mom's is off code, like you were saying, if she's off code and you trying to instill black empowerment B1 principles into your child, and you a weekend dad or you a summertime dad, holiday dad, and over the phone FaceTime dad, it's gonna be an uphill climb for sure. But it can be done through consistency and by setting the right example. And it's a balancing act, man, because with me, you know, I had to figure out ways to explain certain things to them without bashing their mother or throwing their mother under the bus. And that's a trap that a lot of men fall into. You start playing in the mud with your baby mom. You know, she talking shit about you, you talking shit about her. Kids don't know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Now, when they very young and she's the custodial parent, you're gonna have to just take the L for a minute. You're gonna have to just take the L for a minute because the power of a mother, like all of us got a mother here. You know what that mama love hit different. You know what I'm saying? As dads, we can't really compete with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Only thing you can do is be stand up consistently throughout the years because they're not gonna be kids forever. They're not gonna be young, impressionable forever. They're gonna grow up and they're gonna begin to see things for how they really are. They're gonna look back at their life and figure out what was really going on at some point. So you just have to make sure that throughout those years you on the right side of history. You know what I'm saying? As far as your behavior, as far as your involvement, as far as you know, the lessons that you're trying to teach and all of that stuff, you have to be consistent throughout their life. And when they get older, they will look back and appreciate it. That's something that, you know, I'm definitely seeing the fruits of that now. You know what I'm saying? But the children that I've been co-parenting with for these years, my son is 18, my daughter is 16. And I'm starting to see the fruit from that now with the conversations that we have. They know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? They starting to understand. Damn, Dad, I see what moms was putting you through all these years. I see what you was trying to do, especially when they watch me with their little brother. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff that I'm doing with him is the same things I was trying to do with them, but it would get undermined and it would get shut down by their moms. And so now when they see their little brother and how I interact with him and they see the results, they like, damn, I see what you was trying to do now. I get it now. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to stay down, man. You just got to stay down. And I'll land with that.
Yeah, we gotta be consistent with these kids, and especially with our kids, we gotta make sure that we tell them everything. I understand that you want to shield them from certain things in life, but the way that these race soldiers and the white supremacists are acting, we can't have them be like, listen, yeah, there's some people out there that are like that, but most aren't. We got to teach them, listen, everybody has a mean streak in them. Everybody can switch up on you in a heartbeat. So you always have to be on your guard. I'm not saying you're supposed to be, confrontational, but always keep in the back of your mind that that person you're dealing with can go back to the way they are within a heartbeat. So that when it does happen, you know how to adjust. You're not sitting there trying to figure out your next move. You already know how to move. But Black and Power, go ahead.
Yeah, Sincere was hitting on all the points right there. But the one thing I wanted to add to that is that, black fathers, you don't have to be scared to get your child. So, the mother could have custodial, and all of that kind of stuff. But you could also go into court and you could get joint custody, like the brother talked about earlier. So, see, it absolutely would be better to have the black mother and the black father in the home and y'all raising the child together. But if that does not work, it doesn't mean that you only get to see your child on the weekends or you're a holiday dad or you're a birthday dad, because if that's the only investment that you put in your child, that's the only thing they'll remember. So you got to be able to get them on those non-holidays as well. You need to be able to get them during the week when they're in school so you can talk to them. You need to be able to put in those phone calls. And you may be dealing with, a baby mother that's difficult and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to try to take away from that. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat that. because that can turn into an absolute nightmare. What you have to understand is you got yourself in a situation. The situation is what it is. The child did not ask to be brought into this world. That's your child, and you need to see your child on a regular basis, because if they only see you on the holidays, that's the only thing they're gonna remember from you. If you only buy them gifts on their birthday, that's the only time they're gonna remember you. I know the one thing I always noticed is on Father's Day, you see all of the fathers out there, they got all of their kids with them on Father's Day. And that's not what we should be. We should be fathers 24/7. You have to make yourself 24/7 available to your kids, because if you don't, when they get older, they resent you. What Sincere was talking about is he put in so much work that when the kids got older, they came back to him. They said, you know what? I did see. I saw the games that mom was playing. I saw this and I saw that. So he reaped the benefits later, but he put in the work prior to that. And that's what you have to do. As a black father, it's imperative, because our kids' lives are at stake. You see what we're dealing with out here with this white supremacy right now. To not look after your kids and to not take care of them, that's cowardice. That would be cowardice of us to do that. So it's very important that we look after our children. I land with that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. We got to make sure we support each other as well. I know us brothers, we want to be leaders and all that, but sometimes we have to say, you know what? Hey, bro, I'm having a little trouble here. Can you give me some advice? There's nothing wrong with asking for some advice. Nothing wrong with admitting you're wrong. Because I think a lot of us have this attitude that, we're men and we're big, strong, and we don't make mistakes. Or if we do make mistakes, we know how to correct it. I mean, sometimes it's okay to just say, you know what, hey, call up one of your friends, be like, listen, I just want to basically run something by you. Let me see what you're thinking. I think if we do that, we'll be a lot better, because we'll have better communication. It won't always be confrontational with us, because I think a lot of people want us to stay confrontational. But, it's a problem when they start seeing us talking, having spaces like this, or, for us content creators, we go on each other's shows and it's largely positive. Then they're like, oh crap, they might start mobilizing. We got to go do something. So I think for us as black fathers, we have to get back to that. I mean, hell, you saw what happened in LA when those brothers dressed up in suits with their sons and nephews, and they were just marketing themselves and networking and, trying to instill some confidence in these young boys. Everybody went and attacked it. And we know if this was the opposite and these were women, everybody would have been praising it. It would probably still be getting played today. The organizers would have been on TV promoting themselves, and everybody would have been kumbaya and over it. But when we do it, it's a problem. So we're going to have to start changing those narratives as well. And it's going to come down to us. It can't come down to anybody else. We have to set that standard, especially with our children. We're not going to be taking disrespect anymore. So if you come with that, you're going to be met with equal or more. So let's also keep that in mind to start doing that moving forward. I know a lot of y'all do it, but we just have to make it a consistent practice. By the way, I know everybody's probably subscribed to myself, B-Zilla, and Sincere's channel, but if you're not, and News Toter's channel, but if you're not, make sure you go over there, because like I said, spaces like this, they don't want people to hear it. And also YouTube channels where we have these discussions, they don't want to hear it. So just make sure you guys subscribe to us over there. I'm actually recording this and putting it on my channel right now, so that audience on YouTube can hear it, so we can get more people to start having these conversations. So that's all I ask. And anybody else want to say something, go ahead.
I'll jump in if nobody was online. Yeah, this is a dope topic, man. So I feel like I got a lot to offer, man. I usually don't speak that much in these spaces, but this is one of those topics that hit home for me. But I just want to let brothers know, especially those with young children or going through some of these things with the court system and all that. It is going to be a challenge. It is going to be a battle. You know what I mean? But like I was saying earlier, you're just gonna have to stay 10 toes down. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to do a lot of work on yourself. You know what I mean? In the process, you have to do a lot of work on yourself in order to withstand everything that you're gonna have to go through. A lot of times, it's assumed that when from people who are not in these situations, when they hear about men going through the baby drama, mama drama, and all that, usually it's assumed that you're dealing with a hood rat. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, yo, why don't you just get your kids? Why don't you just get your kids from that ratchet? You know what I'm saying? But that's not always the case, man. You know what I mean? So a lot of times these women, they well put together. They just have a warped mentality when it comes to what's important. You know what I mean? As far as family, you know what I mean, and putting the kids first and all of that. You know what I mean? But other than that, a lot of times they got their shit together, and it's not that easy to go in the courtroom and get your kids from them. You know what I'm saying? You could definitely get joint custody, especially if you got your shit together. You know what I'm saying? That I was able to do that. You know what I mean? But even with joint custody, it's really still you still get the shit end of the stick. Cause let me just share a little bit of my personal story with y'all. I uprooted my life to come to Georgia to be with my kids. My baby mom's moved from New York down here like 2 years before I did. I fought her on that. Actually, I drug her into court to try to stop her from relocating. You know what I'm saying? But there was really nothing I could do about that. It was her choice. She could move if she want to move. You know what I'm saying? And so, at the end of the day, she was allowed to relocate against my wishes. And so I had my own barbershop out there and all of that. I was in a relationship, you know what I mean? Me and my girl was living together and all that. And so it wasn't like I was just ready to up and just bounce like that. But after 2 years, my son started getting in trouble in school and certain things was happening. And I just said, fuck it. You know what I mean? I sold the barbershop. I left my girl and I just came down here. I ain't know nobody. I ain't have nothing. You know what I mean? I came down here and started from scratch just to be with them. And, got resettled. You know what I mean? Start building my clientele down here and everything. Got myself established. And I'm literally down the block from where they live at. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to be the weekend dad. I didn't want to be the sometimes dad. I wanted to be there every single day. You know what I mean? That was my purpose. I want to drive you to school, pick you up from school, go have donuts with dad at lunchtime and shit like that. I wanted to do that. You know what I'm saying? That was my whole purpose. Like, I want to be that voice that's inside their head. You know what I mean? As they go through life. But lo and behold, about 2 years, maybe 3 years after that, she relocated to another state again. She packed them up and moved out of state again. Now, this is after I got my case transferred from New York, got my case in the Georgia court system, and got joint custody here. And it was supposed to be, whatever plan that we came up with every other weekend, rotate holidays, all of that shit. And she was supposed to go back into court if she ever decided that she wanted to relocate. But that never happened. She just decided that she was going to leave, and she packed up and went to another state. And that's just what it was. And I had to deal with it. I had to adjust to that. You know what I'm saying? But I still did what I had to do. Run up and down the highway, make sure I picked them up. You know what I'm saying? FaceTime like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I did everything that I had to do to make it happen and to make sure that I was still a solid part of their life. So I just wanted to share that just to say for the brothers that, are in those situations, you know what I mean? It is going to be a challenge. It is going to be a challenge, but your children are worth it, man. You're just going to have to go through what you got to go through to make that happen. And for those that don't have children, you know what I mean? Just hear these stories, hear these war stories, and be mindful of that. You know what I mean? And like I said earlier, choose wisely. Choose very, very wisely. And I'll land with that.
Yes, sir. Two partners against a child is your best way of getting through those first 18 years with not a lot of headaches. Because if they see, I know kids, if they see the parents are divided on something, they will exploit the hell out of it. and especially with daughters, man, daddy comes sit on, they come sit on daddy's lap and they get everything, and then you have to go answer to that other person. They're like, didn't I tell her no? I was like, I ain't know you told her no. She ain't telling me that. And then you getting all the heat, and she get nothing. So yeah, please be careful. Let me. Somebody's requested to speak. Let's see. Brozo, go ahead.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Sincere. I just had a quick question about that, about your story. Um, when you established that she had to, because I remember when I did my custody case, it was established that she couldn't. I put it to where she can't take him out the county without permission. Now I know sometimes they can, from permission from me, or they can go straight to the judge and get the permission. Um, I'm assuming that that's what you had set up, and I'm just wondering, like, wasn't you like, is the option to call the police or, do anything to try to prevent that that relocation?
Well, it's not. It don't got nothing to do with the police. It's a civil matter, so it's always going to go back to the courts. It's always going to go back to the judge. And so, yeah, technically, she's she was in contempt. She was in violation of a court order. She was in contempt of court from a technical standpoint. But the way these systems are set up, they favor the women. You know what I'm saying? And so, in my situation, I ended up getting fucked by a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? That's what ended up happening to me because after she relocated, I went and got a lawyer, tried to reopen the case and all of that stuff. And I basically got stiffed by the lawyer without going to a bunch of details. And so um, I lost that battle financially. You know what I'm saying? I just ran into a financial situation where I couldn't fight no more. And I just had to deal with the situation the way it was and make the best out of it. But yeah, the police, they're not going to get involved with that. They're going to tell you got to go back to court.
But I thought that once the police supposed to do what the judge say, and when the judge signed that custody order, you know, you gotta, they gotta do what the judge say.
What state are you in?
I'm in I'm in California. Now I did have a situation where we was in Florida. There was no custody. Well, we had agreed, but the judge never signed the custody before we went to Florida. So then jurisdiction ended up being in Florida, and so we ended up ending a relationship. And I was the main caretaker of my son at the time, and so when that happened, I wasn't about to stay in Florida. I didn't know nothing about nobody or nothing of anything to do with Florida. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm the one who set everything up. But then she, of course, had this attitude like, oh, yeah, I'm going to let you stay here and all that. What? Oh, no, watch out. So I jumped on the plane. I jumped on the plane, me and my son, and she didn't like that very well. And I don't know what the hell she told them. My mistake was I got on a connecting flight instead of a direct flight back to Cali, and they snatched us off the plane in Texas, and then it was a FBI, the Dallas police detective, and they basically had an interview with me for a few hours, and then they was trying to wait for some charges to come up because they didn't know what charges to do on me, and they ended up doing charges on me, uh violation of custody or something like that, and I ended up in the county for like 22 days in Dallas. Then my son ended up, they told his mom like she need to come and get him within 3 days, otherwise they were just gonna he was just gonna get put up in the system. But that's just the be, man, it was a whole bunch of bullshit that happened because of that. But Um, no, I just thought that I was under the impression that because we do have a custody order. My situation is I got full physical, and and we share the legal custody, but but there is a stipulation put in place where she can't take him outside of the county or the state or the country without my permission, or of course going to the judge. And I just thought I was put under the impression that because every time the police did get involved in any situation, they always ask, "Is there a custody order? Is there an order?" And you got to show them that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know things are different from state to state. You know what I mean? But from my experience, um, the police usually didn't get involved. One time before I had the case moved from New York to Georgia, um, the kids was at my house, and there was a situation with my son and my wife, and my son ended up calling his mother, and she came to get the kids, and I was like, nah, this is my weekend. You're not taking the kids. And she called the police, and they did make me give her the kids because, like I said, the case it still wasn't under Georgia jurisdiction, and they said if y'all not married, then she called all the shots. You know what I mean? So they made me give her the kids and all of that. But in your situation, I don't know. That sounds crazy because you said you were the custodial parent. So I don't understand. How you got charged with anything for going anywhere with your kids. I don't understand what happened there, but I know things are different from state to state, and that's another thing that's important too. You know what I'm saying, is to learn the laws, learn how things work wherever you are. You know what I'm saying, understand what your rights are. I had got down with this organization down here called I forgot the name of it. It's a Black Fathers organization. You know what I'm saying. I ended up through the child support system. I ended up in this program called Fatherhood Program, and then they plugged me in with this Black Fathers organization that they had going on out here, and they give you a lot of resources and a lot of awareness about how the laws and everything work around here. So find something like that in your area. You know what I'm saying, brothers? Find situations like that in your area, organizations like that where you could get information and resources. And also, I know they also got some apps that you could use if you got problems with your baby moms, like communicating and getting the kids when you're supposed to get them and stuff like that. They have apps that you could use that the court recognizes where you can only communicate with them through the app. You know what I mean? So that way, if any bullshit go on, you have everything documented and the court recognizes it as well. So whatever area that you in, just look for, the resources that's available to you so you can maximize your situation. That's what I would say.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah, that
Let's
app
keep
is
it moving.
it's called Talking Parents. That's the one, like, per my court order, that me and my ex-wife we use to communicate regarding the my boys. So it's called Talking Parents. It's like $10 a month. You can have it billed to, if you have like an iPhone, you can have it billed every month. Um, but they changed the pricing now. It's like if you want to have a premium membership that gives you like uh, access to download like documents, like correspondence, it's like $25 a month now. So they went up on it. So I'm like, but it's worth it to have that, especially if you a person like me who's in and out of court regarding your children. It's worth it to have that. I'm getting to the point now in my case, it's kind of I have to keep everything in line, like voice recordings, texts, email correspondence, plane ticket purchases. I have to keep a ledger of all that. Yeah, but keep fighting though. I'm not giving up. I'm not a weak man. You know what I'm saying? I know that my black boys are worth it. And I keep fighting, man. But these cases get sticky, man. It can get very depressing. It can get very upsetting. You can become angry. So, good thing I got a good support system. I've remarried, and so it's one of those things where it's kind of like you got to keep fighting for your children, man. But the good thing is, on a positive note, I'm seeing fathers everywhere. Like, I have my boys for the summer. They're here now. And so we go to like the trampoline park here in Georgia, and I see fathers like doing their thing, like at the park, like at the library. I've met brothers at the library with their children, like So this whole thing that these black fathers ain't involved is starting to die down, because I'm starting to see a lot of activity when it comes to the black men stepping up to the plate and with their babies. My nephew had a birthday at Chuck E. Cheese. Man, I seen black fathers everywhere on deck was showing love too. You know what I mean? And so I'm starting to see that to the generation that I'm in, or at least, we trying to do better when it comes to our children, and we there and we involved, and we understand what's at stake as far as our survival and our legacies. So I'm seeing a lot of positive things out here nowadays. So I'm encouraged by spaces like this, hearing brothers' stories, and that we're not shying away from fatherhood, even though white supremacy has set it up through the court systems to have us, in broken homes and broken families and stuff like that. The black men are still fighting, and we 10 toes down. So I love that. I land.
I co-sign that 100%. I work in the barbershop. I'm around black men, black fathers on a regular basis. You know what I mean? I see it every day. I see it every day. All of that absentee father shit, that shit is a myth, basically, at this point, man. And shout out to you, brother. You know what I mean? Stay strong with your situation, man. That's your son in your picture.
Yeah, that's my oldest son, Muawiyah. Yeah, so that's my oldest boy. Looks just like me. You know what I'm saying? We have talks about just, his legacy, what he want to be, what he want to do. Like I told him yesterday, I got this thing where I tell him our slogan is the best and the brightest. You know what I'm saying? I tell him they got to be on point. Very active. Man, I love my sons. I have another one. He's 7 years old. His name is Shahid. Yeah, man, those are my boys, man. I love them, and I just feel bad because I never thought I would be in a situation where I would not be there for my boys every single day. I never even thought this could happen to me, to be honest. I always felt that I was part of a religion, a Muslim. We don't even believe in dating and stuff like that. So I was just kind of heartbroken that we didn't work out or what have you. But it's going good though. I can't complain. I'm always play my cards the way they dealt. You feel me? And so it's just one of those things where I'm proud of them. He had a situation in school, but he bounced back. His grades are good. They just really good boys. So I'm just encouraged that I will hope that they will carry on the banner of Black empowerment. And we watched Hidden Colors last night for a couple minutes before bedtime. We're gonna do it again tonight. So I'm on them, bro. Like it's a fight, but it's a beautiful fight for your boys, or your children.
That's a great point you just made, because right now I'm teaching my daughter about the great leaders, and I always start off with Dr. Cress Welsing. That's like the first one I always go to before I go down to MLK and Malcolm X. So I want to make sure that she sees Black women that have made a difference in Black society outside of all this twerking BS that's going on out here. So when they do say, "Hey, you can be some degenerate," she's like, "No, I'm gonna be like Dr. Cress Welsing. I'm gonna be like Sojourner Truth in them. You're not gonna reduce me to my body." And I know a lot of girls today, they want their fathers to make sure, and mothers to a certain extent, to make sure they instill that into them. Because our kids, when they get to a certain age, they don't want to talk to us no more. They just want to be like, whatever, pops, whatever, moms, you old, you don't know how it is out here. And then, like we said earlier, once they get older, then they're like, damn, you know what, you were right. Or we catch them saying the same things that they catch us saying the same things to our children that they told us, and then they just sit there and smile in the background. So yeah, let's normalize that again. But I want to thank everyone for coming through and giving their opinions and everything. Like I said, just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels up top. Make sure you share out this space so people can hear the playback and get these conversations started. And let y'all enjoy the rest of your day. And y'all take care, stay safe out there. Make sure you hold your kids, especially with what's going on out here. Make sure you hold them and you make sure you teach them. Peace.
Be one.